Hello everybody. This video is in this video I will discuss determinism. It's part of the philosophical underpinning section on BCBA exam. And the reason why I want to start with determinism, because ABA is based on determinism. Because behaviorism behaviorism was born from determinism. So basically behaviorism, basically ABA based on behaviorism-determinist perspective. I broke it down for you in easy to understand language, very logical, so you will understand. It's not just question and answers. I want you to understand it. I want to understand it myself, so we're learning together. So the behaviorism-determinist perspective describes the relationship between determinism and behaviorism. Behaviorists are supporters of determinism because they believe that the environment is the only determinant of behavior, kind of antecedent. They believe there is no free will and no internal roots of behavior. Behaviorists believe that behavior is conditioned by the environment, and determinism supports this theory. Let's move on. This is just one piece of a puzzle. So the question, is behaviorism a determinist? The behaviorist approach is a deterministic. People's behavior is assumed to be entirely controlled by their environment and their prior learning. So they do not play any part in choosing their own actions. So basically there is no free will. But it's not the way it sounds. There is free will, but that's another level. I'm not gonna go into this right now. There is a theological behaviorism, and it's a little bit different. We're not gonna go into this because we don't really need it in order to pass BCBA exam. But you can study it on your own. I've read about it. It's interesting, but we're not gonna spend time on this in this video. So behaviorists are supporters of determinism because they believe that the environment is the only determinant of behavior. So all behavior is determined by environmental circumstances, by antecedents. They believe there is no free will and no internal roots of behavior. They don't believe in Freud's conscious, all this stuff. It doesn't work in ABA. It doesn't work in behavioral therapy. It doesn't work for children with ASD. Freud doesn't work here. So behaviorists believe that behavior is conditioned by the environment. And determinism supports this theory. If you give a child a chip, salty chip, the child will ask for the water. This is an example. I don't know if it's a good example, but it's kind of what is this all about. So the question is, because we know that the Skinner is the father of radical behaviorism, so let's ask this question. What did Skinner say about determinism? Skinner believed in determinism. In fact, determinism is one of the central tenets of his philosophy of the scientific study of behavior called radical behaviorism. He believed that all behavior is controlled by the environment and that there is no choice free from this. So basically there is no free will. So this is if you want to know what Skinner said about this. It's not going to be on the exam, but the reason I brought this up, just for you to know that behaviorism is based on determinism. Okay, let's move on. Determinism is part of behaviorism, it's part of the ABA, its root, its foundation. So let's ask another question to better understand this concept. Is behaviorism free will or determinism? I'm talking about behaviorism because ABA is based on behaviorism. Behaviorists are strong believers in hard determinism. Their most forthright and articulate spokesman has been B.F. Skinner. Concepts like free will and motivation are dismissed as illusions that disguise the real causes of human behavior. So who is, this is not going to be on the exam, but it's good to know. Who is the father of determinism? I digged a little deeper because I think that we should really understand the foundation and the basis of ABA because it was created in the 60s, maybe in the 50s, but it wasn't created out of nowhere. First there was determinism, then from determinism behaviorism was developed. It's like evolution in a way. Then from behaviorism Skinner developed radical behaviorism, and then we have ABA. So who is the father of determinism? Determinism was developed by the Greek philosophers during the 7th and 6th centuries BCE by the pre-Socratic philosophers Heraclitus and Leucippus, later Aristotle, and mainly by the Stoics. Stoics probably mostly associated with determinism. So determinism. What is determinism? Let's move closer to ABA. What is determinism from an ABA perspective? Since applied behavioral analysis is considered a science, ABA aligns itself with the attitudes of science, which include determinism, empiricism, experimentation, replication, parsimony, and philosophic doubt. But in this video I'm only covering determinism because I want to keep it narrow. Next video I will probably talk about all of them. The next one is going to be empiricism, but right now it's determinism. We're going to move step by step. So once again, what is determinism? Determinism is one of the many principles that make up the identity of science. Determinism is the base of science, not just ABA. It's in physics, it's in psychology, it's in chemistry, it's in a lot of different fields. They use determinism. But we are concentrating on ABA, of course. Since applied behavioral analysis is considered a science, or a science-based approach, ABA is a science-based approach, everybody knows this. So since applied behavioral analysis is considered a science, ABA aligns itself with the attitudes of science, which include determinism, empiricism, experimentation, replication, parsimony, and philosophic doubt. I just repeat it one more time. So I want to give one more definition of determinism. So like I said before, determinism is one of the many principles that make up the identity of science. I repeat it for a reason, because when I repeat it like 2-3 times, we better memorize things. So determinism is based on the idea that behavior is lawful. that it is determined. Determinism assumes that the behavior of living organisms is based on cause and effect. That's a key word, cause and effect. Antecedent and then behavior and then consequence. That is to say that behavior is caused by something and that behavior can affect other things. According to the views based on determinism, behavior occurs because of things that happen in the environment. Determinism states that there is a rational explanation for the behavior of living organisms. There is a natural order to things. Without the perspective of determinism, the cause of behavior would not be understood. So we use determinism to understand the cause of behavior. The opposite of determinism is believing that behavior does not have a cause, that behavior happens randomly, or that behavior is predetermined. Determinism is one of the primary characteristics of applied behavioral analysis. This is very important. Determinism assumes that all behavior is the result of certain events. For example, I think, maybe it's not a good example, but I want to say it. I think antecedent for Holocaust was anti-Semitism. So once we know the antecedent, we can use. So what's the prevention strategy would be to anti-Semitism and Holocaust, it's all behavior, and genocide is a behavior. So if we educate that this is wrong, this is bad, it's most likely not gonna happen again. Okay, I'm sorry for jumping off the topic, but I just have this an example. I wanted to use it. So let's say it one more time. I want to repeat it. I like to repeat things. Determinism is based on the idea that behavior is lawful, that it is determined. Determinism assumes that the behavior of living organism is based on a cause and effect. That is to say that behavior is caused by something and that behavior can affect other things. According to the views based on determinism, behavior occurs because of things that happen in the environment. Determinism states that there is a rational explanation for the behavior of living organism. There is a natural order to things. Without the perspective of determinism, the cause of behavior would not be understood. The opposite of determinism is believing that behavior does not have a cause, that behavior happens randomly, or that behavior is predetermined. Determinism is one of the primary characteristics of applied behavioral analysis. Determinism assumes that all behavior is the result of certain events. Once these events are identified, future occurrences of behavior can be modified. Very important. So one more time, determinism is a primary characteristic of science, any science, which also means that it is a primary characteristic of ABA. So determinism, science, and since ABA is science-based, primary characteristic of ABA. Let's move on. Okay, believing in determinism. Professionals who help change people's behavior can use the perspective of determinism to support their work, to improve their clients' quality of life. Parents can help improve the lives and behaviors of their children and their families by believing in the concept of determinism, that people can improve their behaviors and quality of life can be improved based upon identifying the causes of behavior. So we have to change behavior, we have to identify the cause, and it's based on the determinism perspective. So people, and the last, to wrap it up, people in general can improve habits like overeating, smoking, alcohol drinking, for example, can improve habits, health, and life experiences by believing that there is a rational explanation for the things that happen in life. So if we analyze, for example, when person overeats, maybe when person watches the TV, so watching a movie, so the movie is antecedent for overeating. So then therapeutical plan would be to substitute probably eating during the movie for something else that also brings some kind of satisfaction. But that's a different story. Maybe I will talk about it next time. So basically, in this video I covered determinism, how is it related to behavioral analysis, and I hope it was useful. I wish everybody to pass BCBA exam from the first trial, but what is antecedent to start to pass the exam from the first shot? Study hard. Good luck. Mazel tov.